Another day has gone. I am still alone. How could this be that you're not here with me? You never said goodbye. Someone tell me why. Did you have to go and leave my world so cold? Every day I sit and ask myself, how did love slip away? And something whispers in my ears and says that you are not alone. I am here with you, and though you're far away, I am here to stay. You are not alone. I am here with you, and though we're far apart, you're always in my heart. You are not alone. No, baby, no, alone. Oh, alone. Woo! Hello, my nieces and my nephews, and this is Auntie, and we are out here to make it do what it do. We're going to do a review on Iylana Fix My Life featuring Taryll and Bree. Okay, before I get started, I just want to say thank you to all my new subscribers, all my new nieces and nephews. Auntie loves you, and to all my family members who have been with me for the long haul. Thank you so much for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And you know what? Share this video. If it's something that you like, then it's probably something that your friends like. But anyway, we're going to go ahead on and get into this review. Everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? Having one, it just would be nice. 'Cause everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? So welcome to Auntie's Advice. This episode with Mr. T talking about, you know, Miss B. I'm gonna call him that because their names get confusing to me, you know, Auntie O. But you know, he talks about how when he met her, she was an independent woman and all this so kind of stuff. And you know, she really had a life of her own and wasn't dependent on him. Okay. And so then, you know, she talks about, you know, how sweet he was and whoop 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 and the boop boop boop. Okay. All right. So we get past all the niceties, and they sit down on the sofa, and Iylana, in her style, asks them, why am I here? And so they tell her, you know, she goes on to say that, you know, she has no respect for him. She's lost her respect for him, and whoop, whoop, whoop. And so he says that, you know, I love her and everything, but, you know, she's a nasty bee. So anyway, Iylana's like, okay, so, you know, how long have y'all been married? And he's like, he like, hey, we ain't been married. We ain't married. And she was like, wait a minute, clutch my pearls. That's one of my moods, Iylana. I like that. But, you know, so, you know, she clutches her pearls, and she's like, so that means you can walk away anytime you want to. And he's like, yeah, I can walk away when I want, and that's how I want it, basically, in his mind. He ain't say that, y'all, but that, you know, I added that little part on. So anyway, so, you know, he's been in this relationship with this girl for 10 years. They got 2 kids together, and she's not married. Now, y'all know that for Auntie, that's not acceptable. That's totally unacceptable behavior for a woman or for a man. You don't be in a relationship with somebody for 10 years and you ain't got no marriage certificate, any type of insurance in case something happens to him. She can't even really get a decent life policy on the man because, you know, he gonna sign for whatever she want. But if she was married to him, she would be able to have all the benefits that comes along with being married. See, a lot of times people sit back and they say, well, you know what, I don't want to be married. I don't need no paper. Yes, you do. If your car goes out there and you drive your car, you need insurance on it, don't it? Okay. All right. Okay. So you do need a marriage certificate. But anyway, we're not going to go down that line. I'm going to digress. So she talks to, the couple, and she talks about, how when she makes comments to him like, you're not a man and you ain't boop, you ain't boop boopy doop. That she's not just doing this, just popping off and being angry and whatever. And she's like, okay, well, you know what? He's not coming out of the kitchen with 2 Luna Dawns and a cup of apple juice either. Something is stirring this up. And so, she talks about how he had moved out of the house. He had been gone for 5 months. And he would come to the house every day. And she says, because our studio, then she says, no, his studio. Get it right. Get it right. His studio. Because guess what? You ain't married to him. Your name probably ain't on a deed, a lease, or nothing else, okay? So you said it right the second time. His studio. So he would come to the studio and he would work in the studio, and then he would leave and stay somewhere else, in the night. And I only told him, oh, okay, passive-aggressive abandonment. And so, she goes on to tell B that, there's something in your life that's familiar. And she talks about the abandonment of her father. See, everything, okay, everything ends up coming full circle. Your past will always show up in your life unless you address and heal those issues. But anyway, Auntie not on here to preach. She on here to Iylana go out, into the little courtyard or the backyard of the house. And they sit poolside, and she talks to this chick, one-on-one. I'm trying to get my words together. Okay. Now, she talks to her about, why does she stay? And in order for her to figure out why she stays, she has to figure out why she won't leave. You know why she won't leave? That paper. She sits there and says, well, I handicapped myself and everything because I became financially dependent on him, and that's what you thought. Look, when you married a Jackson, boo, that's what you thought. You thought that you was going to live this life in bliss, and you were going to be, related to Michael Jackson and all that. And Iylana tries to pull that out of her, and she's like, no, that's not what it is. No, that is what it is. Then she goes on, y'all, in this clip that we're about to see, and talks about, how T, okay, won't even tell her where she works at. Okay, so look at this clip.
Is a high great-grand privilege. Can Taryll afford to take care of you?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I don't know how Taryll makes money.
The man that pays your rent and responsible to feed your kids, you don't know how he makes money?
Taryll doesn't share those things with me.
You don't share them?
No.
And do you ask?
I do.
And what does he say?
You just need to know this.
And what do you say?
Okay.
You're a fool.
As y'all can see, Iylana comes up out of her character, honey. She's like, you a fool. She can't even believe she said that, but it's the truth. She sits there and makes excuses and says that I decided that I was going to stay here for the kids, and I decided that, well, he won't take care of me. He won't take care of the school. He says he won't pay for this. Do what all the rest of us do. Go out and get a job, J-O-B. Then you sitting up there talking about some custody, and Iylana told her, honey, that ain't your battle. That is the C-O-U-R-T, the courts. Exactly. Let me tell you something. There are so many women that go out here as single parents, including myself. And we do what it do. We make it do what it do for our children. Now, as a single mother, I know what the struggle is, okay? But unlike her, I don't have the benefits of being in a relationship or having a child by a Jackson. Then she talks about there are other Jacksons who were able to skirt up out of their child support payments. Okay. All right. So you don't get child support. All right. And life goes on. You work a job. You go out there in the real world like all the rest of us do. Then I could not believe that she was saying that there was no financial benefit to her being a Jackson when she hasn't worked in the last damn 10 years. Girl, are you serious? Are you serious? I've worked 2 and 3 jobs in the last 10 years to make sure that my baby had, to make sure that we had a roof over our head, to make sure that we had transportation to get from point A to point Z. You are no different from anybody else except for money and privilege. Something that you seem to not recognize that you have. To be a stay-at-home mom in the 21st century, like Iylana said, is a privilege, boo. Don't sit up there and act like, you know, oh, my life is, you know, it's so rough and it ain't what people think it is. No, it's exactly what the hell we think it is. It's exactly what we think it is. So, y'all, this girl sits up here and now she's, you know, acting like the victim. I don't have nobody to watch my kids. He ain't gonna pay for that. When he leaves and goes out of town, sometimes I may get a week notice and I may get... Find a babysitter. Get a hookup. Do what all the rest of us have had to do. Boo. You don't make yourself a victim to somebody else's circumstances, boo. You create your own world. You create your own wealth. You do you. You do your kids. You're going to sit up there and say that you don't have no privilege, that there's no monetary gain to you being with a Jackson. Think again, boo. Think again. So Iylana goes on and identifies with her, you know, her fantasy of being with a Jackson, because when she answered one of the questions, she said being with Taryll Jackson. So now she has an aha moment that it is about being with a Jackson. So she gives her an exercise and tells her, you know, I want you to write on this layer. She has a board up with a young lady, you know, a figure of him under the bottom. And she has 2 plastic covers. She wants her to write on the first plastic cover, the top layer, what do people see about him? And then the bottom layer, what is really there? Good exercise, Iylana. You better go ahead. So now we see Iylana having a meeting with Taryll by himself. And he talks about how, you know, when they got together, you know, she was saying that she wanted to be a mom and she, you know, but he wanted her to contribute to the family in some kind of way. And so Iylana says, well, was this an agreement? And he's like, yeah, you know, he, him, and Han and all that kind of stuff. And so basically he was saying that the month when they got together and they sat down with the bills, and he said, okay, these are the bills. This is what we're going to contribute. And he said she came with nothing. And then after a while, it was always nothing. And then, you know, and so you don't have a privilege, boo. It ain't about being with a Jackson. Girl, bye. But anyway, so, you know, he goes on and she talks about, you know, things being issues. And then he now is uncomfortable. And you see him shift. And guess what, y'all? He talks about being molested as a child. He said between either the age of 5, 6, or 7. He don't even remember. Just know he was a little boy. But I tell you what, he made sure that he said it wasn't by by one of the Jacksons. Isn't that convenient? He made sure that he indicated that. See, I don't know who his mother really was. Haven't done the research on it. But his mother seemed like she was off the hook. But anyway, he doesn't want to talk about it on screen. He said these cameras. So Iylana pulls him in the back, you know, behind the little thing. But you know, the camera, they still recording. And he's like, oh, God, do I have to talk about it? I was, you know, sexually assaulted. Now comes the real deal. This guy's got some turmoil in his life. Ain't that a mother for ya? I gotta tell y'all this. So the way that it ends up coming out is that, you know, she asks him, Taryll, how'd you get here? And, you know, she tells him that, you know, he said, maybe I'm punishing myself. Isn't it amazing how sexual assault victims punish themselves? They see it as something that they've done wrong. If you've been sexually assaulted, There's nothing that you could have done and nothing you did wrong. Nothing. This part right here made me really have sympathy for him and for others, because there's so many African American people who have been through this kind of abuse, who have experienced this. And it dictates to us and to our society that we live in, our little circle that we live in, how we treat others and how we allow others to treat us. You are not to blame for what happened to you. Not at all.
The possibility of healing his relationship with Brianna. I heard you say that you were violated as a child, sexually violated? Mm-hmm. By a male or a female?
By a male.
By a male. Someone you knew in a familiar environment?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because I want to be clear.
Okay.
It was a relative, but it wasn't any of my father's brothers.
So anyway, after this revelation, Iylana now knows, what she's really dealing with. And she lets him know, T, you think it's about her, it's really about you. And it is. So she gives him the same exercise that she gives to the wife. Oops. The baby mama. Excuse, auntie. And she says, you write on these legs, woo, woo, woo. First thing he wanted to write on the leg was bitch. That's what he thinks she is. And sometimes as women, when we're getting angry about something, we do portray those type of behaviors. It's a defense mechanism. It's all we got. And for her to be living under this man's roof and not contributing anything, she doesn't see the value in being a mom, which is what he says she always wanted to be. So she has to devalue him in the way that she feels devalued. So anyway, she brings them back on the sofa. They come back together and she's talking to them, about the relationship. And she says, I don't think that you all should stay in this relationship. I think you should recreate another one. So she sends them out on a date and they, and she says, I'm paying for it. And she said, and you come back to the safe house, to him, to T. And she tells B, and you go to a hotel. And then I want you to do a homework assignment. So she gives them the homework assignment. Woo, woo, woo. So they come back the next day. And you can see that they're refreshed. At first, when he was introduced, he just seemed like he was like this. Like he was just, broken down as a man. And let me tell you something, women. We can break a man down. We can emasculate a man. We can make him feel like he is absolutely nothing. We know how to do it. You understand what I'm saying? We know how to do it. We do it with our mouths. We don't build up. We got to build up and affirm our men. And if you have a man in your life that you feel like you can't affirm, you need to get out of it. Because you're not doing him any good or anybody else. And certainly not the children. Because like Iylana said in the beginning, you all got 2 little black boys that you raised. And she made sure she let him know that them was black boys. She didn't care how light his skin was or how green and hazel his eyes was. Iylana let him know, no, boo, you got black kids. Okay? So, they go on and everything. And she talks about, she separates him out and she talks to him. She lays these cards out on the table and it got man and son and all these different things. And then it got Jackson. And that's when he gets an aha moment and realizes that his life has been more about being a Jackson than it has been about being himself. How the weight of that family name and everything really has hindered him from being the man that he wants to be, the Taryll that he needs to be. I'm telling you, a lot of people got a lot of stuff that they say about Iylana Fix. But one thing about her, there is a wisdom that comes along with age. And there's wisdom that comes along with doing this over time. Because I, sitting in that situation, would not have been able to bring that out. You know what I'm saying? So I just was like, kudos. And I know when she got the call, her producers got the call and was like, okay, Iylana, you getting ready to do a Jackson interview? Girl, we got one of the Jacksons. I know that was a hot thing up in that office because I'd have been like, booyah! Ching ching, jackpot. I got a Jackson that I'm going to be interviewing. But I liked how she stripped that away from him. And then, you know, they went on and they got back together, and he started talking about how he felt guilt and hurt because he was always vocal, and he didn't vocalize himself at a particular time in his mother's life when she was dating this guy, and the guy ended up killing his mother. And he felt guilt, and he felt weight, and he felt weight and guilt about not being there for Michael. And, you know, he made a statement about, you know, something that Michael had told him, you know, that it's better being down there than it is up here. Because with the life that Michael Jackson was living and the reputation and all of that, the accolades, the awards, comes all of the persecution, and all that comes with it too. And your life isn't free. And he was telling him it's better to be down there and to live the life that you're living than it is to live the life that I'm living. They started talking to her about, you know, getting a job or whatever, y'all. Didn't she start crying? She told me, how is it my issue? You know, if he's the breadwinner, Iylana said, go to work. Go to work. Hand me a tissue. Damn. I gotta go to work. Go to work, boo, like all the rest of us. A lot of times we desire fame and recognition for doing what we're doing, but we don't know the cost that it costs. You know what I mean? The cost that it costs. But I mean, you know what I mean. We don't know what price a person has to pay. And they didn't have any privacy. Michael Jackson couldn't go anywhere. Everything he did was scrutinized. He was a legend. And to have his nephew to feel the burden, and to have this woman who was in the beginning under an illusion, a fantasy of being with a Jackson. And so Iylana goes on and talks to them, and she talks about, you know, being independent, and now she's going to try to find a job, and we see them come back together. Y'all, this episode was really good. I know our auntie has not done it justice, but it was a really, really good exercise. I'm glad that he was able to release some of the pains from his hurt, pains from his childhood of being sexually molested, pains of watching someone kill his mom, or knowing that somebody, he said the person beat his mother to death. God. And we stand on the outside and we see them with this glamorous life. A life that we would give anything to live, to have the privilege of, but the weight of it is too much. I thank God for being in the position that I am in. Being able to have options to do what I want to do with my life. Because the expectation of them is to make music. And I don't know, I guess maybe his mother and Tito had broken up or whatever it was. But I'm glad that he searched. Because you could see at the end that he and B really do love one. I noticed at the end that Iylana didn't have them words up there. She didn't do no follow-up on it. She left that alone. But this was a good Iylana Fix My Life. And I'm hoping that you all enjoyed this review. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And Auntie adores y'all.